Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball. Right there, game7baseball.com. My good buddies over there doing a great job. If you haven't registered, which you probably already have, I mean, you know, it is, it's March. Oh, my goodness. Everything's just around the corner, but if you're looking for a last-minute tournament, go check it out, game7baseball.com. I'm sure there's a few spots still open, great places to go and play. Tell Dave and Dave that Brian sent you, okay? Today on the show, we got another coach's preview, special guest from Christian Brothers College High School. I said it out, right?
There it is.
Better known to everybody around here as CBC, Coach Mason Horne. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, in studio, right?
First time. This is awesome.
I know. That's because, folks, we couldn't get it. We couldn't get it right the other day.
Right. Technology is great till it doesn't work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Always a good conversation. I always enjoy talking with you.
Absolutely.
Folks, you guys were 5-3 in the M.C.C. last year. Your overall record 23-17. You graduated a lot of guys. Just a little history. 2010. Since 2010, you've had 2 state titles. I think it is, right?
Yes.
You had the last one in 2015, correct?
Correct.
7 district titles. You guys have had a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about the culture of your program a little bit, Coach.
Yeah. Very high expectations, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing that we kind of deal with kids that come in for the first time as freshmen is they walk in with a lot of, you know, I'm going to play varsity. That's everywhere. But right. They see the banners in the gym. They know the history of football, basketball programs, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they want a piece of that too. So private school and tuition dollars and things of that nation, or things of that, you know, that part of it. So again, there's just a very high expectation of everybody walking in. So the first thing I try to do is try to manage that. You know, I don't know if that's culture,
first,
but
right?
yeah, for sure. And faith, right? That's
right.
Obviously a major part of what we're doing. So getting our priorities straight, number one, and then number two, you know, letting everybody understand that this is going to be a process, right? It's when I have my parent meeting, that's the first thing I talk about is this is a slow roast, right? And it tastes a lot better when you cook it for 9 hours versus throwing it in the microwave.
Amen to
right?
that.
So the culture that I try to install right away is that this is going to take some time, and we need to be a little patient. And hopefully, after 4 years, you know, I've done everything I can to help that young man move forward in his life and what he wants to do. So that's it.
I like that part, you know, because, you know, kind of turning that maybe a little upside down from where their mind is when they walk in, you know, baseball won a title. And you start off with, well, wait a minute.
Right.
You know, we're here because we believe a certain way. We believe these things. We have our faith, who we are, what we are as people first and foremost. You have academics, which you guys have high academic standards.
For sure.
So that becomes the template as you walk in, and then baseball becomes an outflow, a product basically of those things as you becoming a better person.
Yeah. We call it Men for Tomorrow, right?
Right.
And that's essentially what we're all about is just, again, trying to set the groundwork for what they're going to need post high school and for the rest of their lives, right? And I always tell the guys, look, it's in this order, right? It's God, family, school, and baseball. They're very close together, but it better be in that order, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, we're trying to prepare them for the real world, right?
Yeah, because it smacks you in the face most of the time.
Absolutely. And as we all know, we're all baseball fanatics. Baseball, in my opinion, is the best metaphor for life because of all that adversity, because of all the ups and downs that we're going to go through in the game. Well, that's life, right? I mean, one day everything's great, and you've got your job and marriage is going well, kids are healthy, everything's great, and the next day you wake up and your wife's left you, and somebody's sick, and
Well, we hope not.
we hope not, but that's life, right? So things happen, and the beauty of baseball is that if you just wake up and in my opinion, if you just wake up and just keep the process, right? So whatever that process is, you wake up and you drink your coffee and you work out or you do whatever you do, but just be consistent with that process. And I believe over time, good things are going to happen.
I concur. There's a message I like to give just within our own, what we do as a company and things like that. And I've always believed that consistency breeds success.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you are consistent in how you do things, what you do as a person, starting first and foremost, who you are as a person, that consistency leads to the next thing, then it should overflow into, if your life is consistent, it should overflow into the things you do.
Yeah.
Because we do baseball. And to your point, my mind just goes. I tell people this, everybody goes, oh man, baseball's life. No, baseball is not life.
Right.
No, Jesus is life.
Amen.
That's what I believe.
Right.
So baseball is something we do. Can we really have a passion about it? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a fun game. But as long as you understand it's just a game, and when the game is over, you still have all the people around you that care about you, love you as a person, and who you are as a person. So I think those are things, those values.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holding true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's get into this a little bit. We're going to start. I always like to start with pitching.
Okay.
As the great Tommy Lasorda, pitching and defense.
It's everything.
Right?
It hasn't changed.
And as you can tell, I'm
You're feeling very confident right now, I know, because I've seen their lineup going into this year. So I can gloat. It's okay.
And I know people, I like the Cardinals. I've been in St. Louis since 2003. And, my dad is originally from Missouri. I got ties to the Cardinals and I like the Cardinals, but I grew up a Dodgers fan. Yeah. So, and I know people, it's tough sometimes, but I think St. Louis is definitely a better baseball town.
I think so. And we're kind of it appears we're in a very rebuild, whatever you want to call it, mode right now. So, like I mentioned earlier, I think we as fans need to be a little patient.
Just a little.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. It'll all come back.
But yeah, your Dodgers are looking pretty good. Let's hope they stay healthy.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, that's what happens when you spend money. I mean, I think it's a little kooky, but
it helps.
I'm not the one in charge, so
for sure. Right.
But pitching staff,
yes.
You've got an untested pitching staff is the way I kind of would put it.
Yes. Michael Sievers is our top guy. If you look at his numbers, he's our top guy coming back. I think he was 5-1, 5-1, pitched 39, 40 innings for us, pitched really well. Cameron Fuquay is another guy. He's a 26 who got some innings for us last year. And then, we sprinkled in a few more that had some relief appearances and things of that nature. So, we're definitely, you have, Michael and Sam Wright is another senior that, we're really going to rely on. It's his time to really step up. And
I like the Sam Wright. I was looking at his numbers, Coach. He only had 12 innings for you last year, but his ERA was 1.17. Yeah. But I love this. This is the stat that kind of, there are certain stats that to me jump off the page, and OBA is one of them.
Yeah,
opponent's
sure.
batting average, and he had a 159 opponent's batting average. That means people are not getting on base, and that's why you got a 1.17 ERA.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's kind of a converted outfielder last year, and so last year was kind of like, okay, and he's pitched obviously as a youth, but it was the first time he had really had to commit to that role And it was kind of a learning experience, I think, and how to, just how to come back day to day with his arm and things of that nature. So I'm expecting we're going to need him to have a good year. But again, with that experience from last year and then what he did over the summer and, all this whole winter of preparation, he's got good stuff. It's just a matter of can he go out and pitch, right? Yeah. So definitely relying on him. George Shaw is another one, 6'4", 6'5", lefty. Same thing. Didn't get a lot of innings for us last year. I call him unique because he's a left-hander throwing it from down here. Oh. And you don't see a lot of those guys. He throws wiffle balls. I mean, everything's moving all over the place. He had a lot of success on our sophomore JV team because he was under the radar. But, again, everything was moving so much, and it was unique that, guys just couldn't hit him. So, same thing. We're going to need him to really step up. And then you get into, like, again, Cameron, who's a heavy sinker, right-hander, heavy sink, slider guy. I'm expecting big things out of him too. And then kind of you get into the new guys of Grant Meerhoff, who's got all the talent in the world. I mean, this kid's stuff is really good.
He's also committed to Louisville.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that stuff is, if it keeps progressing, it's going to play there. We're talking a wipeout slider and, an upper 80s to or low to mid 90s fastball, especially when we heat up. Left-handed, 6'5". It's pretty good.
It looks good, right?
Yeah. It's it's one of those things where
you look over there and you go, yeah,
that'll play. Now we just got to throw it over the plate, right?
Right.
So yeah, those guys, Danny Bergner, 6'6", left-hander, who got a few innings for us last year, again, out of relief. It's their turn, right? You got the seniors that need to lead this group, and then you got all these young guys where it's like, all right, it's our turn this time.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of, when I was looking at this, and as I was going down through, Severs is the only one that's really got any substantial innings under his belt.
Right.
I mean, Hudson Toronto.
Yes.
Is that correct? Mm-hmm. He'll be back again?
He's a senior, yep. He's another one of those guys that, again, didn't get a lot of innings last year, but has really committed himself to the weight room. I mean, he's chiseled. I mean, it's, he's not a real big guy like mass-wise, but, man, he has worked really hard in the weight room and gotten himself into great shape. And it's his turn, right?
There you go.
It's time to go.
And that's why I said untested, and that's basically what it is. So, you got all kinds of depth.
Yeah.
It's not that the depth isn't there. It's just who's going to be the guy that's going to – and now it's all about up here, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And then it's kind of our job to figure out, all right, what role, right? Because high school is really about finding roles, So, again, the obvious is this guy left on left should be just carving everybody. But he actually pitches better against right-handers. Right.
Oh, wow.
So we just got to find it's a big jigsaw puzzle and just trying to move those pieces around and try to figure out, all right, ultimately when we get to districts, what's the role? Because that's all that matters, right? I mean, we play the regular season, but the goal is to win districts.
I think it's interesting too, because, when we talk about this, you during a high school season, you may only have like two weeks, maybe 3, where you're playing 4 or 5 games. Most of the time it's 3.
Yeah, I would say on average we're probably playing 4 a week.
Are you playing 4 a week?
You've got 2 during the week.
You've got a 36-game schedule, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and we're sitting at 32, I think, right now because we had to depart the Columbia tournament this year due to Easter. The way the week played out. But we're not going to play a full 36, but we're pretty close.
And 32 in 6 weeks, basically. That's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games. Yeah.
So depth is huge.
It's huge, yeah.
With this. And then you throw on top of it, in my opinion, I like this. We talked about it before we came on. You get through districts, you're into a best 2 out of 3.
Yeah. It's the depth is going to be the denominator here now, right?
Absolutely.
You can't. I think the days of all you needed was 2 guys. In my experience, I've always said you need 4 you need that 1 and 2 guy. You need a kind of who can finish one of those games if needed, and then you need someone that can just walk in and slam the door, right? That closer type. Now you need like 5 or 6 to get through those potential 3 games, right? So pitching is going to be, as always, it's going to be paramount moving forward.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how you get through this. The depth is there. You've got arms. I mean, from Severs to Murhoff to Fuqua. We saw Fuqua pitch a little bit last year.
Yeah.
So is you got a 2026 here, the name that kind of was there, Noah Merrifield?
Yeah, Merrifield was the next guy I was going to mention. And same thing. He's kind of a big guy. He throws in the upper 80s. Just untested, just needs to go out. And he's kind of a converted infielder as well. So, he just needs to get innings. And then, like I said, we kind of see where he falls in all of this, So, but we have plenty of arms. The arms isn't the issue. It's figuring out who can do what.
Absolutely. And do they have I love this. And I think, with baseball, there really is, in all sports, you have the mental aspect of it. In baseball, though, it's just kind of a different switch that you have to turn. With baseball, there's so much in every moment where, there's more failure in baseball than any other sport.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Even football, it isn't that you can't. You have to think. Every game, the mental capacity, basketball, football, soccer, whatever the case may be. But I think the mental challenge of baseball, there's so many opportunities for failure, and how you overcome that and how you maintain a mentality of success is so difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, too, that we do it every day, which is actually, in my opinion, kind of a blessing. It's like if I play football and I have a bad game, okay, I got to sit on that for 6 days, right? And it's hard to kind of turn the page. For us, it's, all right, we're going to do it again tomorrow. So,
we're good, boys.
Let's learn from this real quick, and then, all right, let's go do it again and see what happens. So, but at the same time, like you said, it's just really hard. It's hard to hit a baseball.
Yes, it is.
I know I forget that sometimes, when I watch a guy swing and miss 8 times in a row, and I'm like, dude, I know this guy can hit. What is the problem? Well, it's hard, Or
thanks, Coach.
He's thrown 5 in a row that, are hitting the barn and the barn wall, and you're like, it's not that hard. Just throw it over to White, right? But it is hard, okay? And they haven't put in enough hours yet. In a lot of these, at the high school level especially, where these kids are just, their bodies are changing so much, so rapidly.
Yeah.
To try to control their movements, their release points. And, you sprout up 6 inches, in 6 months, your center of gravity's now in the sky. And you kind of, okay, this feels weird. Why can't I throw it where I used to? Well, it's because your body has changed, right? So there's so much of that going on too. And to your point, it's just, I think it's why it's so hard to do. It's such a fine skill of throwing a ball or hitting a ball or fielding a 110-mile-an-hour rocket, off the ground and picking it up and throwing it over there in 4 seconds to get the guy out.
I hope it doesn't take a bad hop or hit the lip.
That's a tough skill. So, it's hard, and it definitely will challenge you mentally and your confidence, right? Because your confidence is going to be tested every day. And confidence is fragile.
That's why it's still youth baseball. And I always go back to Kevin Mulder's statement. That's why they call it boys baseball in high school.
Right. We're still amateurs.
Exactly. Defensively, Coach, you gotta replace Winkleman behind the plate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's going to be fun.
I think we got a good one, though.
Toko.
So Anthony's back. He's a senior.
I thought he was a senior.
His older brother graduated. Yep. Okay. He's at Rockhurst.
Yes.
So Anthony's back. He's going to move to the outfield. Played third for us last year. Did an outstanding job.
So I mixed up the names.
I'm assuming. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
Anthony's going to move to the outfield. Had a great year offensively for us.
Yeah.
Athletic guy, but I think his future is going to be in the outfield most likely. So we're going to move him out there. And Winkleman's going to be tough to replace, but we got 3 guys who are going to really fight for it. And Austin Baldwin, Caleb Klein, and a sophomore named Mason Saban. So Baldwin is ready. He caught a lot of innings for us when Winkleman needed a break last year. He's ready to go. Really like where he's at. He's a real good catch and throw guy. The infield, Edmonston returning at shortstop, Reed Hunter, and then you throw in, like we were talking about, all these kind of unknowns, so to speak, the guys that are stepping up and it's their turn, a Patrick Effer, a Ryan Horne, on the infield. Yeah, Ryan Horne and Patrick Effer, and you got Corday Gage, and who's a sophomore, super athletic kid. GT Taylor, who's going to move to the outfield.
Okay.
GT was phenomenal for us last year. I mean, big time numbers. Broke our school record for sophomore, hitting home runs last year with 7.
I thought it was 8.
I believe he had 7.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed it. 7 home runs.
He's got some big time juice. I mean,
I was shocked. I didn't think he hit that many home runs.
Yeah. Every time he steps to the plate, and we all have these types of guys, he can do it. Right. Yeah. Every I know Charlie over at DeSmed and everybody's got a guy that every time they step to the plate, this kid could lose one.
Yeah.
Like Caden Pierre and Nazan Zanatello from a couple of years ago. I mean, he's one of those guys. You better not make a mistake, because if you do,
he'll hit it out.
He will hit it out. Super talented kid.
You lost Derek Pitts, Jake McGee. Those are big spots. Yeah. Is Toko going to be able to cover like Pitts?
Defensively?
Yeah.
Well, it's a different style of player, right?
Gotcha.
So Derek Pitts was more of that center field type, kind of roam. He could roam. He had long strides, cover a lot of ground, real big arm.
Yeah.
Anthony's a different type of player, right? Where he's got speed. He can go get it. But he's going to have to rely on his angles, and he's going to have to rely on – he doesn't quite have the arm strength that Derek did. So he's going to have to rely on accuracy and getting the ball out quickly and getting it back to the infield, those types of things. But what he brings to the table really is his offense, and his base stealing abilities and things like that. So,
yeah, he was 355. He slashed 355, 434, 527, folks. I love the run production. You got 27 runs scored and 25 RBI. That's a lot of run production.
Yeah, no doubt. He had a great year. Had a really good year, and we're definitely relying on him to continue that and hopefully get better.
That means you're getting on base, and guys are getting on base ahead of him.
That's the name of the game, right?
You talked about Bryce Edmonston offensively. The kid 315, 393, 398. The slug is not, but he did have 9 doubles. Yeah. And I love the K's maybe a little bit much, over walks, but young kid.
Yeah, and really his game is defense, right? I mean, he's a plus defender. It's not flashy. He's not gonna, he's not the guy that's gonna be diving and spinning and doing all kinds. He just makes routine plays. He just makes plays, and there's no panic in him. He's I always, he's like a skipper on a submarine, I mean, when things look bad, he looks like everything's fine. So, and that's great when you have those types of guys up the middle, who are just kind of calm, cool, and collected. So, his role is make plays, and then offensively, put the ball in play, moves guys around. Now, he's a senior, and you hope that, some of those power numbers you're talking about will go up a little bit with more experience. But, but he's a really good at grinding out at bats, right? So, and I don't think he needs to change. I think he needs to just continue to be who he is, because what he does is really good.
There you go. I like that part. So, with the staff you have, we talked about, being untested, the young man behind the plate. You're feeling pretty comfortable defensively at this point, I take it.
I really like our defense. I like the idea of our defense, right? Like it could be really good. Again, it's untested at certain areas, but as far as athleticism and the ability to make plays, I think it's going to be there. Now, we got to get over that mental hurdle of, okay, we're playing varsity baseball.
Yeah.
And it's 35 degrees out and, yada, yada. But if they can get over that, I think we have the potential to really pitch it and play defense. Yeah.
We said it earlier, you got grass and dirt. You're playing in the M.C.C, I think, Vianney's turf, DeSmet's turf now, right?
Yeah, turf infield, yep.
Turf infield, I think Chaminade.
Yep.
So what's the challenge there? Is it much of a challenge to transition that many times back and forth, dirt to turf?
It definitely is because, it's completely, well, of course, in high school, every field is different.
Right.
It's not like the big leagues where they're different there too, but it's much more similar. I think, we can talk about that and make excuses for that, right? I don't do that. I think they just have to learn how to adapt as fast as they can. And, this is where having really good fundamentals and footwork. I always tell the guys, like, there's no such thing as a bad hop. You create a bad hop, right? By an improper route or, you didn't, your first step wasn't good or whatever it may be. Sure. Or maybe you used the wrong type of play to field the ground ball. In other words, I could have got in front of that, but I went to my backhand and I laid back when I should have went, but it is tough because, like you said, you'll go from a turf field that's super fast at Vianney, and then you'll go to a turf field at Chaminade that's actually pretty slow. Mm-hmm. And then you'll go to a grass field like ours, which is, you don't really know day to day. Did it rain last night? Did it not? Right. Did Coach Horne put water on the field?
Did you get to mow the infield?
Did we mow the infield? Is the water even turned on yet? Is it super dusty or whatever? Right. So everything's just constantly changing, and the athletes need to be athletic enough to adjust to those types of things. So
and like we said, I think this is the tough thing, and as parents and fans and things coming to watch the game, those are the things we don't think about on a regular basis. Yeah. It's just the reality of it. You're like, how come you didn't make that play? Oh my gosh. And I get it. It's a fan. It's what it is. But I think these are the things that are interesting to me because we don't, as fans, sit and look at those things and think about that thought process.
For sure.
Especially with a high school kid.
Right. We don't get to take batting practice on the field and actually get reps on the field pregame, right? We get like 30 minutes and we're going. So there's no preparation. It's literally everything on the fly, right? Yeah. We get out of school at 3:00, you get to the park, you're 45 minutes from game time. You get them hot on a 35-degree day as fast as you can. And, they're flipping balls and they're doing their little pregame stuff. But it's different in college and obviously at the professional level when you have 2 hours to go out there and get some ground balls, get acclimated to the conditions of the park. We don't get that luxury, of course. So we just got to, do the best we can and figure out a way to go get it done.
We were looking and, from the defense, we've talked a little bit about some of these kids offensively. I like to go down here because you talked about Reed Hunter, but you're juniors. Mm-hmm. JD, what is it? Alderman?
Alderman, yep.
Cale Price, your son Ryan Horne, Austin Baldwin, Braden Schreiman.
Yes. Yeah.
Big I knew I'd butcher that. Yeah. But, what are you seeing with those kids there, Coach?
Yeah. Again, all of them do something really, really well, right? Mm-hmm. So, like Braden Schreiman is going to be a big left-handed bat. His outfield left-handed bat, big kid, physical guy, bat speed for days. I'm hoping that he's a guy that can be a legitimate knockdown fence threat, right?
Oh wow.
And then you look at a Cale Price, again, speed guy, outfield, left-handed bat, likes to do this. That's a weapon, right? Ryan Horne, defender, He's going to battle at the plate. He's going to really grind out at bats. He's got a little juice there, can gap-to-gap type guy, but defense is going to be his number one role. Can bunt, handle the bat a little bit. Gosh, now I'm starting to lock up here. I apologize.
Adelman?
Oh, JD. Yeah, JD is just – I'm going to run through a wall, Coach. I don't care. Just tell me what to do.
Let's go.
He is a tough kid, and just plays with his hair on fire. He's a football player playing baseball.
Oh,
right.
There you go.
And I don't mean that as an insult to his baseball game.
I get it.
But he is just
that mentality is a bit different.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. And he'll make plays that a lot of guys won't make because he's just uber confident. He's just like, I'm just going to go make the play, So there's, so he's a guy that first base outfield type who just swings the bat with authority, and is going to play hard. So now we got to find a role for that guy, right? I'm trying to think. We already talked about Effer and some of those guys.
Yeah, there's one name that I want to bring up.
Okay.
It's a freshman.
Okay.
And this kid is super talented. Yeah. And it's tough. I think you got a lot of guys here, and I think, it's always tough for a freshman to break in. Brady Rallo, he is one of those talents, and I've seen the kid up through, and is he got a shot?
He's got a shot. Yeah. I mean, the physical tools are there, right? So, for your listeners, like we were talking about before, some parents don't realize, okay, it's 18U.
Right.
So at the 6A level. So as a freshman coming in, the first thing you got to look at is, can they physically compete at the 18U level, right? He checks that box. Hits the ball 101, can throw it 80 plus across, from the outfield, pitches.
Right.
Looks the part, fills out a uniform. So the physical tool is there. Now the question is, can he compete at this level, right?
Right.
And we don't know that yet.
Right.
But the physical tools are there for sure. Great pedigree, comes from a fantastic family, CBC family through and through. I've had the privilege of coaching his older brother, his uncle. This is a baseball family. And Dad played. His uncle was a great player. Dad was a great player. So the baseball IQ is there too, and it's going to continue to. Right, he's going to get to a master level, to a PhD level at some point in baseball. But he definitely has a leg up due to that background. I'm excited about him. I've had a few guys over the years, Brian, that have played on varsity as freshmen. Not many.
Right. Because it is hard.
It's hard. Yeah. And he is definitely a guy that is going to fight for that uniform.
Yeah. You got, I think it's really difficult, and you see just a handful of guys sprinkled throughout Class 6 that have actually done it. You see it maybe in the lower because they just don't have numbers and whatnot, but get to a school like yours or any Class 6 school, it becomes a difficult process to crack. And you got guys that have been getting it done and have earned their opportunity to make that roster, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's, like I said before, it's for us this year, you have your returners. Mm-hmm. And as I always tell them, it's their job to lose, right? Someone's always coming. So, you better be prepared and because there's someone underneath you that is dying to be out there too. Yeah. And they're pretty talented too. So, but that's a good pressure, right? That's a good stress. So, we're at one of those years where, it may take half the season for us to kind of figure out what all this looks like. It's kind of stirring the pot, and there's going to be some overflow here and there. And, eventually it's going to settle, and hopefully by districts, it smells
you
good.
got a nice stew, right?
Good. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I got one last thing for you here, Coach. And I always like to ask this from your coach and your son, Ryan Horne. What's that like, and what are the, some of the challenges that you faced, and, things that have been difficult, things that have been really rewarding for you?
Sure. So I've been asking a lot of my coaching buddies who have had, Dave Wilson's one of them, Scott Brown, who's in my, on my staff and in my dugout, and coached his son. Scott Pingle, our football coach, coached his son. So this is uncharted territory for me too.
Yeah.
The rewarding part is, you get to go to work every day with your kid, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I never got to do that with my father.
Right.
The hard part is, and what I have tried to do, Brian, since he was 5, because I kind of helped out on all the teams, right? And I think I've done it. I absolutely separate the coach and the dad.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're at home, when we're doing whatever, I'm dad, and try to stay out of his way and, help a little bit here and there. And as the years have gone on, I've stepped back a lot more from that of trying to be coach dad.
Yeah.
But when we get to the park, or when we get to practice, or, when it's my job now, okay, I'm coach.
Yeah.
And we've had that conversation many times, of I'm going to treat you like every other player. Probably have a little higher expectation for obvious reasons, but try not to cross that line of, beat you down when in other words, you didn't take this guy out of the game because he did it, but you ripped your son out. You treated him differently than you treated the other players.
You wanted to do it to that kid,
Right.
but you didn't.
Right. And you took it out harder on your own.
Yeah.
I think we're all a little guilty of that.
Yep.
But I've tried really, really hard to separate. And when we have conversations, Brian, it's kind of funny. I literally will say, I'm Coach Horne now, blah, 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 right? And I'll step back and I'll say, okay, now I'm your dad,
Yeah.
right? And that's how I've approached. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's how I've tried to approach it. And we'll see. I don't, it's the first time, first time he's going to be in the same dugout with me. So he's a talented player. A lot to learn and a lot to get better with, but as I've told him, look, my job is to win games, and I'm going to put the best 9 out there that's going to give us a chance to do that. And if you're a part of that, great. If you're not, then work your tail off, and we'll see what happens.
I love it. Coach, always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Folks, if you like what we're doing, please hit the like button there. It helps the algorithm, helps get this out more and more. If you like it so much, hit the subscribe. It's right there. Hit the dinger next to it. It's not a home run, but it does get you notifications for upcoming episodes with gentlemen just like this. We appreciate you doing that. If you guys, all you CBC, I'm sure you do, get out, support this group. It's going to be a fun year. I think a lot to learn about this team. It's going to be interesting watch. So Make sure you get out and support these kids. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. And hitters, Coach, you got to give the hitters some advice.
Swing and strikes.
Okay.
Hit strikes.
There you go. See, if you're throwing a strike, you can swing it.
That's right.
We'll see y'all next time.
Hey, hey.